If it was half a day ago, Liu Yutong really would consider casting Ling Han aside. Get the cultivation technique through deception first, and then compensate Ling Han with some material objects, is what she thought. Who asked Ling Han to ignore her noble status as the princess of a noble family and insist on having her as his follower? Yet now, she was hesitant. The reserved nature of a girl caused her to really want to leave Ling Han's side, but once she recalled the endless miracles Ling Han had displayed, she wanted to stay at his side, curious to see where his limits were. Maybe yes, maybe not. Who can say for sure? She gave him an ambiguous answer. Ling Han laughed heartily. If Liu Yutong had solemnly vowed to be steadfastly loyal to him, he would not have believed her. However, he was a grand warrior of the Heaven Tier and the Alchemy Emperor. How could he be unable to subdue this little slip of a girl? "Take off your clothes," he casually said. Liu Yutong suddenly looked furious. Could Ling Han want to force her to sacrifice her body in exchange for teaching her the cultivation technique? Although she didn't want to die, and really did very much want her illness cured, if she had to use her body in exchange, then she would rather die. "Don't misunderstand," Ling Han said with a smile. "I only want to guide you in the circulation path of the origin power. This particular cultivation technique requires the origin power in your body to circulate through many odd paths and can't be explained simply through words. You should know yourself that the slightest difference leads to a huge loss. So if there is the tiniest discrepancy in the circulation of the cultivation technique, that's why we must make sure that there is no any discrepancy or error at all." 1. Liu Yutong paused. Ling Han's words were not false. There were uncountable veins and arteries within human body. If there was the tiniest bit of error in the circulation path of origin power, then the results would be vastly different. The problem was that she was an unmarried young lady. How could she take off all her clothes and allow a man's finger to roam over her whole body? She considered for a long while, then suggested a compromise. She would keep her undergarments on, and Ling Han would use a chopstick instead of a finger in guiding the circulation of her origin power. "Get out first," Liu Yutong said, pointing outside. "Hey, hey, hey, this is my room." Ling Han laughed, but he still stood up and walked outside. He still had this little bit of gentlemanly character. He waited for a long while before he finally heard Liu Yutong say, "You can come in now." Ling Han entered the room to see Liu Yutong seated on the bed, her beautiful figure concealed by a bedsheet, her beautiful hair falling over her shoulders like a waterfall. She was very enchanting. She really is a captivating and extraordinarily beautiful girl, Ling Han thought. Even considering the demanding eyesight he had in his last life, he couldn't help but admit that the charm of this icy beauty caused his heart to slightly stir. Snow-white teeth biting red lips, beautiful eyes roaming around. Looking both resentful and pitiful, Liu Yutong slowly slipped out of the bedsheet, and her beautiful, jade-like figure appeared. There was only a tube top on her upper body, and her fair, smooth skin was like the highest grade of jade, exuding an entrancing luster. She wore underpants on her lower body, but she had torn the trouser legs from her upper thigh downwards, revealing two long, straight legs. They were neither too plump nor too thin. Rather, they could be considered perfect, causing one's heartbeat to speed up. 2. Seeing Ling Han's roaming eyes, she couldn't help feeling embarrassed. Her beautiful, jade-like face blushed, adding on to her allure. Goodness, she was supposed to be an icy beauty, but now that she was blushing, she suddenly became a universal temptation, looking so enchanting that even Ling Han's heaven-tier temperament from his last life was slightly disturbed, causing him to want to devour this captivating little demon. But he quickly came back to his senses and said, "Sit in a cross-legged position. I'll be teaching you the first level of mental cultivation method from 3 Yin Mysterious Arts." He recited it word by word. At first, Liu Yutong couldn't enter into the right state of mind. After all, she was almost naked in the same room with a man. But her martial artist's heart very quickly defeated her embarrassment as she listened carefully to Ling Han's verbal chants, committing them to her memory. Ling Han spoke very quickly, but Liu Yutong showed shocking talent. It was almost like whatever she heard, she would never forget. Ling Han only recited everything twice, and Lu Yutong already managed to remember almost 1,000 words worth of verbal chants. This was only the first step. The next step, and also the key factor, was the circulation path of the origin power. Linghan, using a chopstick in place of his finger, lightly drew all over Lu Yutong's beautiful figure, guiding her in circulating her origin power. Once, twice. Only 3 times were enough for Lu Yutong to already circulate her origin power, according to the new cultivation technique. She truly deserved the title genius. Linghan hurriedly departed from the room. This little demon was really too enchanting. He seemed to have overestimated his own willpower. If things continued in the same way, he very possibly would end up taking advantage of and pushing down this entrancing beauty. Since Liu Yutong had already started cultivation, she would definitely not regain consciousness in the short term. Thus, Linghan decided to just sit outside and similarly begin cultivating. However, he was not cultivating 5 Elements Heaven grade skill. Instead, he began cultivating Indestructible Heaven Scroll. Because his spirit base was not healed yet, he did not dare to take any risks. If his spirit base was injured further, then it would not be healed even by Element Heart Recover Spirit Powder. The circulation of Indestructible Heaven Scroll was like a bottomless pit, very quickly expending the little origin power he had within his body to refine his muscles, veins, and bones, and make them stronger. If it was cultivated to the limit, then the body would neither deteriorate nor age. Even if a meteor crashed into him, the meteor would shatter while he would be completely unharmed. Of course, he was much too far from reaching that state. After merely 5 minutes, the origin power stored within his body was completely exhausted, so he swallowed a return origin pill to quickly recover the origin power within his body and then continue cultivation. Each medicine has poisonous properties. In the beginning, the return origin pill could exhibit the best effects, but as the amount he took increased, the immunity of his body to the pill's effects also largely increased, causing the pill's effects to worsen, until finally, he could only recover less than 1/10 of his origin power after taking a pill. Linghan stopped. The day had ended. To continue cultivation would be of no effect. However, his improvement was very obvious. His muscles, veins, and bones have all become slightly stronger. According to his estimate, this kind of strength would compare to the 3rd level of body refining tier. No wonder it was called Heaven Scroll. It was awesome. In his last life, Linghan had also cultivated a few recovery-type skills, like Golden Body Secrets and Boulder Technique, which allowed the body to become stronger. However, their effects could not compare to Indestructible Heaven Scroll's effectiveness. The difference between them was like that between heaven and earth. That was normal. If Indestructible Heaven Scroll was not that good, how could it be possible that a warrior of the heaven tier would need to spend over 10,000 years to comprehend it? Not to mention, even then, it was only the first layer he comprehended. However, cultivating this Indestructible Heaven Scroll really expends a lot of origin power and would still need a large amount of valuable medicines to support refining the body. This would definitely delay my cultivation. However, this Indestructible Heaven Scroll has too great a power. The delay would be worth it. My spirit base is immortal grade. Anyway, I shouldn't think about the highest tier of neither deteriorating nor aging body yet. The first level of Indestructible Heaven Scroll is also further divided into 4 tiers, which are respectively the Dead Tree tier, the Rock Cliff tier, the Iron Sheet tier, and the Diamond tier. Once I reach the Dead Tree tier, my body would be like a dead tree. Attacks on me would be as if hurting a dead tree without damaging its life. I can even have my body be like a dead tree without any life signs. No one would be able to tell that I would still be alive. Once I reach the Diamond tier, then no matter how heavy the injury, it could be recovered in an instant. Even a torn-off limb would be able to recover. It's practically a godly skill. And Linghan turned around and looked at the door to the inner chamber. The curtain moved, and a goddess-like figure walked out, her lightly blushing face incomparably graceful, beautiful, and entrancing. "You've completed cultivating the first level of 3 Yin Mysterious Arts?" Linghan said with a little surprise. "En." Lu Yutong nodded, slightly afraid to meet Linghan's eyes. An odd feeling was stirring to life within her heart, one that she had never felt before. This girl really is a genius, Linghan thought in his heart. And Tajahali Sijichendi, meaning the slightest difference leads to a huge loss, is an idiom equivalent to the English, a miss is as good as a mile. Here, those interested in research can copy-paste the following word in Google Images. Mushroom. It refers to those bigger pieces of underwear that extend to the upper stomach.